right here, right now. Joining us now, Imam Amir Muhammad. Imam Amir Muhammad, great to have you with us, sir.
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Thank you for being with us. You know, I invited you on today, and I'm excited that you're coming on because what I want to start with is Ramadan, which started on May 15th. And many of our listeners out there, Imam, you know, we've kind of know what a Ramadan is, right? It's a religious holiday in the Muslim sect. But no one really knows, or many of us don't know, what it stems from, what exactly it is, what it represents, how it works, and what the significance of it is. Imam, and I was hoping that you would be able to share that with our audience.
Yes, I will try. Well, so that the audience could understand a little better, Ramadan is like Lent. It is a 30-day period, month that follow the lunar moon. It's every year, it's about 2 weeks earlier. This year, we're celebrating it from mid-May to mid-June. These are the times that we purify ourselves, turn ourselves closer to God, put more focus on worshiping God, sustaining from eating during the daylight hours, reading the Quran, 1/3 of it every day, and becoming more conscious, trying to restrain our self-drives, our urges, and negative thoughts, and just refocusing ourselves. I guess to put it in layman terms, it's a time to recharge our battery and refocus ourselves into the creator of the heavens and the earth.
And so it runs for 30 days, right? May 15th, and it runs with the lunar calendar. So May 15th.
And it can be from anywhere from 29 to 30 days.
Right. So this year, 2018, it runs from May 15th to when?
Well, we're really waiting on the ending of the moon sighting. And right now, they are projecting it to be the 12th, if I'm not mistaken.
Of June.
Yes, of June.
Right. And so during this period, when you're celebrating Ramadan, from sun up till sundown, no eating, you fast. Can you drink liquids?
No, we don't drink nothing. We don't intake nothing.
Nothing. So no liquids, no food.
No
and basically,
food.
Sun up to sundown. And then sundown comes, you're able to eat, drink water.
We're able to eat. And usually in America, we'll come together as a community, the different various communities across America, as well as some families will come together to break their fast, to share. Mm-hmm. And the humbleness and the gratitude that God has provided for us.
So how do you handle the workday? Because going 12, 13 hours, right, and especially if in the U.S., you're going 13 to 14 hours with
they're trying
no food.
16 hours. Yeah, it's rough. But, you know, when you focus on the service in God, I mean, it's really not bad, but a lot of us will get up early in the morning and take a little light meal, and a lot of that meal may be proteins and a lot of liquids that you can sustain yourself. And then some of us are blessed that we work in air-conditioned offices or air-conditioned environments. And then there's some of us that are out there in the community in the heat, working, the construction workers and others. And it's hard. So it's, you know, it's a lot of them make it. It's, I guess after a while, you don't miss it. It brings about a certain amount of discipline. And as long as you're looking to try to refocus yourself and knowing you're doing it for God, not for yourself, it gives you a little bit more strength.
Right, because really it's not about the fast. It's about refocusing your life closer to God. Right,
yes.
Imam?
Yes.
We're with Imam Amir Muhammad. Imam, where are you based out of?
I am living in Washington, D.C.
All right, you're just like me.
For the last 25 years. We have a museum called America's Islamic Heritage Museum, located on Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C., which highlights the history of Muslims in America from the early conception to today.
Walk us through a little bit of that, if I can. Another thing that a lot of our listeners are not aware of, Imam, can you spend a couple minutes and just walk us through the history of the Muslim community in America?
Yes. Well, Muslims came in America from like four major ways. From the early Spanish Inquisition, you find Muslims that arrived in South Carolina and early New England. you'll find Muslims, a majority of them came from what we call the African diaspora or the slave trade. You'll have Muslims that came through what we call the fall of the Ottoman empires. You'll have Muslims that came through the wave of, the lowering of the immigrations of the 1960s and 70s. And there's history of Muslims that fought in all-American wars, from the Revolutionary War, War of 1812, to today. I can recall in the history in World War I, there was 550 people that had the last name Muhammad, spelled 41 different ways in the United States. There's towns with the name Muhammad. There's towns with the name Mecca. Muslims have been a part of the American fabric since its beginning. I found, even with my own history, researching on my mother's side, her great ancestor was born free in 1790, and as he was going to court, they had to go to court to get identified. There was a next person in the court records that went to court to get identified was a guy named Thomas Hawk, and Hawk is an Arabic word that means truth, and he was also a free man in the early 1800s. So you have a very rich and long history of Muslims in America that many Americans do not know and are not aware.
That's why I wanted to have you on, exactly. Imam, reconcile for us the radical elements that are using, Islam and the Muslim faith as a platform for terrorism and things of that nature, Sharia law, the caliphate, ISIS. Reconcile this.
Okay, that I first have to unpack. I believe in just what I heard, three different things that you expressed, and I'll try to address it. One, the extremism. You find extremism in all faiths. It's just as when in the 1800s and the early 1900s, as my Christian brothers was lynching us and killing us as African American people, that was extremism, and implying that. So we see it all over. We're taught in the Torah, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. We don't say eye for a world or eye against many. We're taught to be fair and just to all people. As far as the Sharia, the closest thing I can say about the Sharia as a whole is just like the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. I'm one God. I'm a jealous God. Do not put up no engraven images of me. Do not covenant your neighbor. So a lot of these are just the basic principles. The problem with our humanity, our society, is that we do not follow the principles of our own books. Man will take things to the extreme on many things, on many aspects. And so what we're seeking to, what the Quran does, is seeks to, as you asked about Ramadan, and the Quran says Ramadan is a month in which was sent down the Quran as a guide to mankind, also with clear signs of guidance and judgment between right and wrong. And fasting was prescribed to us as it was prescribed to everyone. So these are two of the things, and what we see is that, as a matter of fact, I heard it now, he said, years ago, he said, one of the problems with my Muslim community is that we do not follow our book, the clarity of our book. And I say that with all of us. One thing I found in America, just like Martin Luther King has said, that we're going to come a time that we'll not judge a person by the color of the skin, but by the content of their character. Mm-hmm. And then because we're going to the extreme on many levels. We see it today everywhere. Mm-hmm. But there's a cry for us to come back together as a human family. That is our common denominator, a human being, a human personality.
What was your feeling on the U.S.'s decision and basically President Trump's decision to move the U.S. Embassy as promised from Tel Aviv to the holy city of Jerusalem?
I do not agree with that. Once again, I thought that was an extremist point to not look at the reality, where a lot of times we're going back to take somebody else's land on our belief, where that nature and fairness and justice is what God calls of us, even with Moses, we were taught with Moses to not, it's a curse to put somebody out, to go to the extreme, you know. But it doesn't say, once again, as I said earlier, the book says eye for eye, you know, or equal. And I think that with our approach, Jerusalem means a town of peace, a place of peace. And my understanding of Scripture is that David, you know, King David, because you asked about the caliphate, the first, in my book, in the Quran, the first person that was given that title was King David. He said he made him a Khalifa. We say Khalifa. That is one who's governing over your society, over your community, to make things better, not to bring things about extreme, and not to consider other people. Mm-hmm. We're taught, and that's why I think that America has the best potential and the best opportunity to become a model for society, a model for humanity, if we would just stand up, as Jesus said, love thy neighbor as I love thyself, do unto others as you want done unto yourself. And these are the balances that we have to seek to go. You know, we see extremism on both ends, on the right and on the left. We need to seek to bring balance, to do what is right and what is just for humanity, for society.
We've got a couple more minutes. We're with Imam Amir Muhammad from Washington, D.C. Imam, is there a two-state solution potential for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Is that possible?
Yes. Under God, all things is possible. That's what Jerusalem represented, that possibility. It is the home to all the three monolithic faiths, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And that is the message. Until we as human beings come to seek that, you know, I'm not better than you, you're not better than me. My faith ain't better than your faith ain't better than my faith. Our faith is, if we're seeking to please God, He's made these differences. You know, we see this diversity. God created diversity. We see the Chinese man, the Japanese man, the African man, the Arab man, the Jewish man, the American man. You know, He made these different diversities so we could come together, not to despise one another, but to get to know one another. And I think once we come to that level of accepting each other as God's creatures, as God's servant, we could bring peace together. It happened in America. Why can't we do it elsewhere? Right?
Tough to argue with that. And that is a great message to end our holiday weekend show with. Imam Amir Muhammad.